Hey everyone, this is Brad from the Darksliders podcast with another review. This past week, Doug bought Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, which is a new PS4 indie game that was just released. It's a game that both of us have been following for a while and we're both pretty curious to check out.
So yeah, I actually pre-ordered Everybody Gone to the Rapture. So I paid $15 for it, which is definitely on my line for this sort of game. So this game I've been following for a long time. The guys who did this did a half. Then they did a full release of Dear Esther, in which they completely revamped all the graphics. Then they did Amnesia: A Machine for Pigs, and now this is their fourth game. This game is nothing like I feel like there's like some young viewers who are like, "Oh, I like the Amnesia: Machine for Pigs. I should pick this up." This is not Amnesia by any
That was
way,
like
shape, or
one of
form.
those weird horror games, right?
Yeah. I guess the best way to start this, if you think you're going to like this game from what you've read, you're going to love it. If you're thinking that maybe this game is not the type of game for you, this is clearly not the game for you, and you should not pick it up at all. If you look at if you look at reviews, like they're really split between 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, best game ever, and 6 out of 10, what the hell is this boring piece of crap.
Yeah, that's why I haven't. That's been my hesitation to pick this up, is because everything about it sounds interesting to me, but literally it's 50-50 like that. Like, this is either the greatest game or it's the worst thing on earth and nobody understands why it's been made. As
Yeah.
much as I'm curious about it, I don't know if I'm into it enough to be super over the top like that.
I think this is a game with this is one of those games that's I'm not saying it's not a video game because it is, but it's definitely not a video game by like traditional standards. Kind of like the Order is more of like it's a like okay, we in our discussion of the Order we said the Order is a really good R-rated CG film. It's an okay game.
Yeah.
So this one is like a really good, surprisingly a British drama, not a very good game. The thing that surprised me the most about so everybody got into Rapture. If you haven't heard about this game, I'm sure you've heard about this game. You basically the basic gameplay is you walk around an English village, and you pick up audio logs, and that's the whole game. That's it. And if you can buy into that concept of this is just the sort of game, if you can say, "All right, this game's not going to have shooting. This game is going to have a setting you're either going to like or not like." To me, I thought it was a really interesting setting because I've been to England like once, and I've seen this countryside area maybe once or twice. So it's still sort of like a unique area. I imagine if you lived in England, this game would be boring as shit.
Because it's like walking through your neighborhood.
Yeah, exactly. Um, so you basically walk around and you can pick up like literal audio logs where it's just like there's a radio, you press X, and all of a sudden the radio says something. Or the actual really cool aspect of this game is you find these sort of balls of light, and when you touch these balls of light, what happens is sort of like a radio play where it's two people talking, but there's sort of like these ghost images of them. So like let's say you walk into a house. This is a really minor spoiler. So everybody's disappeared from this town, and for whatever reason, there's some sort of epidemic that went through the town, and it causes people to have bloody noses. So you'll find like a pile of bloody rags, and then you'll like touch the ball of light, and all of a sudden you'll like hear somebody who's like now standing there where those bloody rags are, saying like, "Oh God, I have this headache. I need help," and they're talking with somebody. It's kind of interesting because it's basically like little short, like I was saying, like little short radio plays where it's usually two people talking back and forth in these sort of ghost-like shapes, and some of them are really interesting. This game has by far the best voice acting I've ever heard in a game ever, like bar none. There is no game with better voice acting than this one, and they got really good actors to do the voice work of these characters. The first character, like each chapter is named after a character in the village. So the first one is called like I can't remember his father something. It's a priest in the town, and basically you're following the priest through this town as he's dealing with the different people in the town. And some people are like really afraid of this new epidemic. There's some like internal conflicts that have been going on in the village for a really long time that are now like becoming worse because of this epidemic. Like there's certain people like cheating on each other, but what happens when this couple's cheating on each other, and now there's like this horrible thing that's going on. So it's a game. I don't know if that sounds interesting to you. You should absolutely pick it up. If like what I just said sounds interesting to you, pick it up like immediately. It's just a really unique experience, and it's actually really moving. I was like literally in tears for one of the sections, and I don't want to ruin it. It's actually near the beginning, but for one of the radio plays, like the voice acting and what happens is so freaking intense. It's really kind of interesting because it's just two people talking. It's not like somebody's getting murdered or shot. it's just somebody explaining what's going on. And oh my god, like I was like literally in tears. I don't know. It's a really cool, really moody game, but it is a game where you just walk around and pick up audio logs and watch audio logs, and like that's it.
See, and that's where I'm in this like weird middle ground because that sounds awesome to me
Mm-hmm.
if it's compelling enough and if it's something that I'm really interested in. But it also sounds boring as hell if it's not. You know what I mean? Like in
Yeah.
my mind, I'm
Mhm.
picturing like I could have walked through Rapture and Bioshock and just picked up the
Mhm.
audio logs and been very, 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 very happy with that game.
Yeah.
But then there's other, more simplified, basic structure games where the setting's not that crazy, the plot isn't that interesting to me, and I could just sit there and if I just had to do that, I'd be done in a second.
Yeah, I think the thing that is kind of weird about this game is the setting, because a game like this that I would normally think it would be like, okay, say Journey or Rapture is another good one for Bioshock, is that it's a really, really unique setting that you've never seen before, and it's like this sort of like this weird alien, almost alien like
But I
world.
thought you said it was just like an English countryside.
That's what I'm saying. So it's an English
But
countryside.
why is that so weird? Like you're
Well,
comparing that to
it's
the
not
city under the sea.
it's not weird. That's what I'm saying. It's not weird. So it's like the setting isn't immediately interesting like those other games. So this game like entirely the setting is kind of interesting, but not as interesting as say something as like BioShock or Journey. So it entirely relies on its story.
See, and that just requires such a huge buy-in for me that I don't know if I'm, you know what I mean? Like I have to buy into that story so hard to be compelled by this game. I don't know if I'm able to do that.
It's really really I see like I don't know for $20. It's just like another one of those like experimental games. Like, is it worth $20? I don't know if it's worth $20. I was happy at 15 because I was thinking it's like okay, that's how much I would pay for like two movie tickets or something like that, and that was sort of my justification for. It. I was like, that was okay. That was like an interesting, unique experience sort of thing. I actually really did love it. I really did love it for the first two thirds. I kind of stopped around where I wasn't played Rocket League because the game is kind of slow and it's just easy to play something like Rocket League or something in between. So that's the one of the problems I actually did have with the game is the first level is kind of in this like town where there's like a bunch of suburbs and stuff. There's a lot of houses close together, so you see a lot of these audio logs and a lot of these things kind of happen at once. But the part I'm in is in more of the countryside, so it's these really wide open areas that are gorgeous to look at, but it just takes a long time to get to the next audio log area, and that's kind of frustrating because you have a really slow walking speed, which I know people complain about. And there is a run button, but the run button's kind of weird. So it's just very slow paced, and a slow pace is okay if you're in a dense environment.
Yeah.
But the part where I am, and I think I'm pretty near the end of the game, it's just very wide open, so it's just a lot longer to walk to. Actually, it's kind of cool. I was surprised how open and big the game was. It's actually really really big compared to what I thought this game was going to be. It's just one large area that you just travel through. There's no load screens, no nothing. So
Really?
you just sort of like so you walk around like the suburb, then you walk to a park, through a forest, through this, through that. I don't know. It was pretty good. I would say maybe wait on it for a sale.
See, I'm not even like concerned about like the money thing. It's just like when I sit down with this, am I going to be compelled to play it? Like money, like whatever. I don't
Hmm.
care so much about that. It's just regardless, am I going to enjoy my time with this or not? Whether I paid $20 or I paid 10, that doesn't matter. But when I sit down, am I actually going to want to play this, or am I just going to be like, okay, let's go walk across the street and look for a book?
Yeah, I think this is like a game you should definitely play at a friend's house before if you like it or not sort of thing. I could just see if you're into like super action heavy games, this is a very slow paced game.
Yeah,
And if you're not ready for a slow paced game and like literally there's one button,
yeah.
use, and that's it. So good game, good game. I enjoyed it. A lot of people will not enjoy it. If you're okay with just walking around an environment as the game, then you're gonna have a great time.
Thanks for checking out our review. Of course, you can subscribe to us here on YouTube for more reviews and more video game stuff, or you can follow us on Twitter at Darksliders_pod. Thanks for listening.